And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bubba the Bloom, episode 232, coming at you at a Tuesday night, which means it's Bloom Board time. Going to do a little team analysis compared to player analysis here early in the season, which will be a really cool way to break things down after essentially a week and a half of baseball to talk about. So that'll be good. We'll talk about a slew of news because every time I turn my head or blink my eyes, it seems like someone else is hurt. So that's a lot of fun, and we'll get you caught up on everything else you need to know for your fantasy baseball teams. But first off, you can find me on Twitter at BDentric, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, and on Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. And my co-host, as always, on Twitter at RyanBHQ. Ryan Bloomfield, how are you doing, my friend?
Hanging in there, man. Rough couple days here at the Bloomfield household. We lost our 14, almost 15-year-old lab. So hell of a run, but lost her over the weekend. Kind of knew it was coming, but still doesn't make it that much easier. She's usually hanging out here next to me while we're doing podcasts. So it's the first time without it. I know you've gone through it. A bunch of listeners I know have gone through it, but still doesn't make it easy. But I don't know. Pretty bummed the last few days, but excited for tonight because it's, I don't know, we always say it's a good distraction. It gets our minds off of things, and we do this because we like to do it. But yeah, it was a long weekend here for sure.
Yep. Again, sorry to hear about it. We've talked about it quite a bit, but it gets better if that helps at all. But yeah, it sucks. Dogs are family. So that's one of those things that 15 years, that's a heck of a run, my friend. So
Absolutely.
That's really, really good stuff. But you got baseball to help you get through it.
I do. I have a seemingly mountain of oblique injuries to talk through to get to ease the pain, to help get me through it. It has been like, I wasn't totally glued in this past weekend, but it has been a bloodbath. And even up until we're recording Tuesday night, it's just injury. Guys are just dropping, and while we're watching these games, it's been a very rough last few days.
Yep. So we'll try to keep you up to date here. If you don't get it on the show, you can get it on the Patreon, in the Discord. The news is always flowing, so come check all that.
How are those typing fingers on the Patreon with your daily news updates? You've been
it's
very busy. Breakfast with Bubba is turning into brunch with Bubba. It's overloaded.
Usually it's like 2 pages of notes. It's turning into like 4 pages the last few days on my Docs app. I'm like, this is awesome. Just keep them coming. Like even the generic notes, which I usually use to kind of add depth to it, I don't even want to put in there anymore because it's just like, what are we doing at this point in time? But it's wild. And we have a lot of guys a lot of IL stints the last day and a half. And then we have, like you said, Langford, Tatis, Cronenworth, Pablo Lopez, a handful of guys that left their outings on Tuesday evening that we're going to wait for more information on to update us. It just gets better and better, my friend. So, yes, fun times in the fantasy baseball streets. And Thursday night's Fab Show, we'll hopefully have you covered as best we can to fix those holes that we all will have in our lineups coming up shortly.
Yep.
All right, let's get to some of that recent news and notes. Jackson Merrill was originally out of the lineup for the second straight day on Tuesday, and then shortly thereafter hit the IL with a hamstring injury. You're hearing this a lot from teams. We don't think it's too bad, which we'll see, because I believe that as far as I can throw Dave Roberts. But Merrill's going to be out for at least 10 days. We'll see how much longer that's out for. Oscar Gonzalez got the call, and thanks to your trusty minor league leaderboard, we realize he's probably not as bad as we wanted to think he was.
Yeah, maybe. Oscar Gonzalez is off to a hell of a start. AAA leads AAA in barrels. At least the Statcast, whatever Statcast is tracking in AAA. Statcast is I believe in all AAA parks, so I believe that's pretty accurate. But Oscar Gonzalez hitting the cover off the ball. Oscar Gonzalez, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago, was like somewhat of a fab darling in Cleveland. Yes. He is now, with San Diego, he is now like 27 years old, hasn't, put together the greatest career out there. So fantasy wise, maybe you kind of ride what he's done in AAA, but you always take these AAA numbers with a grain of salt. But does lead AAA in barrels. That is actually something actionable. And I think Oscar Gonzalez, at least for now, is going to play, even though I think we both want the body part, Terso or Anillis, to get the call. He still might, depending on whatever other injuries happen to San Diego, but it looks like it's Oscar Gonzalez for now, who I don't know, conditional outfielder in Fab for me.
Yeah, Oscar Gonzalez arrived at the ballpark a little before Tuesday's game, so he wasn't in the lineup. They had Jose Iglesias in left field, but when Cronenworth got hurt,
Oh,
Iglesias went back to the infield, and Oscar Gonzalez got in the game. Misplayed the first ball towards him, so that was exciting. But we'll see what he has. I wanted to mention Brandon Lockridge real quick. He's been starting the last 2 days for San Diego. I legit told you who, and then I looked at his page. Stole 46 bags last year in the minor leagues. He came over in a trade with the Yankees. So maybe there's some life there with Lockridge. Lots of speed, very little power, decent batting average throughout the minors. He's also 28 years old. So, the Padres, they like their old guys. And that's what they're going to do until Tirso hopefully gets the call. But I think if Tirso gets the call, that means Tatis is going to the IL, folks. So brace for impact on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Ivan Herrera left Sunday's game with a knee injury, had to get helped off the field. Reports after the game, he's walking around. He's feeling good. Then he got a scan on Monday that showed a bone bruise. So Ivan Herrera is going to miss at least 4 weeks of time. Pozo got called up, went deep on Monday. Pedro Pajes went deep on Tuesday. Pajes should get most of the run, I imagine, at the catching position.
Yes, and St. Louis said they definitely are not moving Wilson Contreras back to catcher. So that ship has, I guess, officially sailed. Pedro Pajes, I guess, is the play here in 2 catcher leagues. I wouldn't get super excited, even though, like you said, did homer on Tuesday, hitting over 300 with a decent strikeout rate. So in 2 catcher leagues, that is certainly an option if you need a catcher or just a Ivan Herrera fill-in. I know you and Ben probably talked about this on Bench with Bubba already. What's the drop status with Ivan Herrera?
Ben is on he's a drop side of things. I am stashing where I can, but we talk about like in NFBC non-ILs, you get like 1 stash. So if it's one of those you don't have room, probably a drop. I'm holding until there's a setback, and then he's gone for me. He's just too offensively talented to just throw away. In 12, he's an easier drop in 12s and 15s. That's for darn sure. So it's definitely a team-by-team basis. It's the answer no one really wants to hear, but I'm trying to hold as best I can.
Yeah, I think for me, like, and this isn't just Ivan Herrera, but just in general, like, I'm trying not to have more than 2 injured guys. And I know that's like a realistic thing because there are a ton of injuries right now. I'm okay trying to hold 2 injured guys. Once you get to 3, you almost have to cut the one you like the least and move on. It's really hard to roster 3+ injured guys. And I know on some of our rosters, we have to deal with that. So when we say team dependent, context dependent, I'll actually put some numbers behind that and say like kind of like 2 is my cutoff, unless it's 3 like no doubt great players like Jackson Merrill and 2 other really good. I don't know. But that's my general rule of thumb, at least in NFBC leagues where you don't have IL spots.
Yep, totally agree with you there. All right, Blake Snell, he hit the IL with a shoulder injury. Apparently been pitching through it for 3 weeks, which is always great to hear looking at you, Red Sox.
Yeah, that's...
He gets a scan, no structural damage. It's just inflammation. There was actually right before the show, I was updating notes for tonight's Breakfast with Bubba recording, and he's going to be cleared to throw in the next couple of days. So we'll see what that entails. That must mean doctor, it's still attached, said it's okay. Regardless, this is just ridiculous. He's been throwing with an injured shoulder for 3 weeks, and that just blows my mind.
And that's what we don't know, right? Is this Dodger manipulation, or is this something worse than that? With Dr. Reattach, Dr. Elatrosh, who's actually, I didn't know this, he's like officially the head physician for the Dodgers. Because
makes sense, all the money they have, might as well, keep them in house.
Well, I just thought it was interesting, like funny that like there was a tweet out there that the Dodgers beat reporter Fabian, I forget his last name, but he was like, yeah, Elatrosh is going to look at Snell's MRI or whatever, but like today he's on the trip to the White House with the team. I was like, what? It's like the MVP. But I guess he is technically the someone responded to that. Was Elatrosh is like the head physician for the Rams and the NFL Rams and the Dodgers, and then obviously operates on everybody else. I just thought that was I was like, what? I did not know that.
Well, it makes sense why they signed so many Tommy John pitchers. So they have a guy in house that can give him a discount.
Softball for the Dodger hater over here.
Yep. But Jason Robleski pitched on Tuesday. That did not go well. Landon Knack is going to pitch on Wednesday. Knack should be the one that sticks in the rotation while Snell is out. But, do with that what you wish. The Nationals have been pesky, but Knack had his moments last year. So I don't know if you'd be interested in picking up a Landon Knack or not.
Interested in, honestly, like any Dodger pitcher, really. I was curious, like, are we going to see Bobby Miller back up at some point? I'm as I pull up Bobby Miller's AAA numbers, has more walks than strikeouts through 9 2/3 innings at AAA. So I guess the answer to that is no, with a 20% walk rate for Bobby Miller through a couple starts so far. So more fine tuning is needed for Mr. Miller.
One way to put it, my friend. One way to put it. Victor Robles made one of the most ridiculous catches I've ever seen at Oracle Park, and it landed him on the IL with a separated right shoulder that also has a fracture in the collarbone area as well. So that is obviously not ideal. He's going to miss at least 12 weeks of action. Victor Robles is a drop for me. Dominic Canzone got the call. I know you're a big fan of that.
Yeah, sure. Huge fan. This was brutal. This makes the Mariners. I put this in the Discord. I think this makes the Mariners already a like slam dunk offense to stream against for any starting pitcher. This makes it even tougher. Or I mean, even easier, I guess, tougher for the Mariners to score runs. I don't know what the Mariners are going to do against left-handed pitching. Like all their kind of fringe bats right now. There's Luke Raley. He's a platoon lefty. There's your guy, Rowdy, who's hitting 050 something.
About to be a DFA'd lefty.
About to be a DFA'd lefty. We've got him hanging out there. We've got Canzone, who was just called up. Like there are no real righties outside of Mitch Garver and Donovan Solano on the Mariners right now. So anyone against the Mariners you're streaming against, but especially any left-handed pitching, that's going to be super juicy. And I agree, Victor Robles, like definite drop. That really sucks to see because really like what he was putting down in Seattle.
Waiting for Dealing Dipoto to trade for like Austin Slater or something just to really spice things up in Seattle.
That honestly makes sense.
It works.
Like, Austin Hayes could join his sixth team in 5 months.
No, I want him to play. Give me some run in Cincinnati before you do that, please.
Before we ruin him in Seattle.
Yes, let him have a little fun first before you completely destroy his psyche. Yeah. Speaking of potentially destroying someone's psyche, Ronaldo Lopez, he hit the IL. We already knew. Like I've been saying, I feel like it's a season-ending issue here, but they were going to have the arthroscopic procedure. They did that on Tuesday or Monday, and it turned into a scope that cleaned out his shoulder, but no structural damage. And they're going to reevaluate him in 12 weeks. Reevaluate, right, in 12 weeks. Not like ramp up throwing. He's going to be reevaluated in 12 weeks, which that's 3 months for those keeping track at home. And that feels more like it's a 4+ month situation.
Yep. For my intents and purposes, Ronaldo Lopez is not fantasy relevant anymore this year. It sucks.
My question is, Bryce Elder's not the guy to hold this 5th spot in the rotation. When do we start speculative adding Hurston Waldrop is the question I have.
Well, they're gonna. Strider's gonna be the 5th.
That's
probably with his next start. So it's. I feel like the Braves, at least for now, if they keep Smith-Shawver up, they actually have. It would be Strider, Sale, Granholm, Schwellenbach, who's looks like the best pitcher in baseball so far. So I don't know. I think it'll be a little while for Waldrop, or another injury, which, given 2025, may not be very long.
All right, an injury to add to the list of what the heck injuries in baseball. Spencer Arrighetti was playing a harmless game of catch during batting practice on Monday when the Mariners were taking batting practice, though, which was kind of odd to begin with, and was hit in his throwing hand by a line drive by the guy hitting batting practice. I know, novel concept here. And it basically fractured his thumb. So he'll be out. There has been no timetable yet, but every time I see a fracture in the hand, I think 4 to 6 weeks. But as a pitcher, he'll have to ramp up again.
Yeah, that may take that may be the most frustrating part if you decide to hold Spencer Arrighetti, right? Because I don't know if you have too many setbacks, like the hand. His thumb just needs to heal, and then it's the ramp up, and it's how long is that going to take? Like how, especially early in the season, don't know how fully stretched out he is, and then it kind of all starts back to step zero. So Arrighetti's a tough call. I don't have much of him. I try to hold as long as I can, but again, on your teams, I think that rule of 2 certainly applies. If Spencer Arrighetti is your 3rd injured guy and he's a step below 2 other guys you have on the IL, I think you need to be a little ruthless, even though it hurts to drop him.
Yeah, he's leaning on the edge of drop. Like if it's your only stash again, like Herrera, I'd wait, but he's going to be a quick drop. It seems like if he needs some space. And Houston has not announced a starter yet. They called up a reliever to fill the void for now. But like Colton Gordon is a name people have talked about. AJ Bluebaugh has a name that Martin Sokolsky even mentioned as a guy that would be fun to see come up. So we'll wait and see. It's going to be towards the end of the week when they need a starter, and we should have an idea come Fab time.
Bluebaugh actually looks. I mean, this is completely stat scouting, but 15% K minus walk in 130 innings last year. Pitched well so far in AAA this year. He's 24. He has thrown 120 plus innings each of the last 2 full seasons. So AJ Bluebaugh, I don't know, someone to maybe talk about on Thursday if he gets the call.
Agreed. Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks went on the IL with a hamstring injury, another soft tissue injury for Ketel Marte. Tim Tawa got the call. He's barely playing every other day right now. Garrett Hampson is playing primarily at second base. I don't have a whole lot else to add to this one besides I think it's short term since they didn't call Lawler up. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping for, that it would be Jordan Lawler season. Maybe they just don't want to mess with him if they think it's going to be short term. I don't know if I knew Garrett Hampson was on the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm being completely honest with everybody, nor do I really care. But yeah, Tim Tawa, like, he was pretty popular in some Fab circles until he plays more often. Like you said, Bubba, he started the first game up against a lefty, but then it's been 2 games on the bench in the last 3. So I don't know, kind of old for his level coming up in the minors, even though the minor stats have been good for Tim Tawa. I just feel like this is kind of just another guy, just a jag who's going to play part-time.
Matt McLain of the Cincinnati Reds would have missed his 5th game on Tuesday, and they put him on the IL with a hamstring injury, retroactive to the 5th because they decided to pinch hit him in that game, which was great. So he'll be out for another week, give or take, maybe. Noelvi Marte got called up. He's been swinging it well at AAA. Is it finally Noelvi time? Because, gosh dang.
For as bad as it was for Noelvi Marte, I mean, I would put a bid in. I know they're different positions. Like, I'd bid on Noelvi Marte over Tim Tawa, I think, right now. At least I think Marte is going to play. The Matt McLain thing, complete mismanagement by the Reds. That was brutal to see. And that, honestly, that lineup, like, sneaky. I mean, we'll talk about team level trends in our Bloom board lately, but or later. But the Reds have been awful this season. That lineup outside of Ellie is like, I mean, Matt McLain was hitting, but now he's out. Gavin Lux has done nothing. It's a brutal. Normally you see at Cincinnati and you get a little nervous, but like, if I'm streaming pitchers, Cincinnati for me right now is a target.
Yeah, they had 3 straight losses, 1-0. They just won 1-0 tonight. So it's 4 games, the total of 1 run. If you really do the quick math on that, that's not going to cut it. Not going to cut it for fantasy, folks. Pitching sounds good. Pitching seems like it's doing well, but not on the flip side of things. Nasty Nestor to the IL with a forearm injury. He's a drop for me. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Could have our first beer bet of 2025 decided. I hope not. I hope Nestor Cortez comes back, but we have a Robbie Ray versus Nestor Cortez inning pitched beer bet. So not rooting for injury, but I kind of am because I want a beer from you.
Sounds like you are.
Sounds like I am. Yeah. When you say I don't want injury, but that actually means you are rooting for an injury.
Yeah. You know, when you ask your kid, why did you do this? But they say they didn't, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did it all. And some probably. Mike Soroka to the IL. This one made me laugh just because the Nats went full team lie situation. Left his start with biceps cramps. They said, no worries. He'll start on Saturday. And 2 days later, he's on the IL with a biceps injury, which does not surprise me. If I think my throwing arm bicep was messed up, I probably would miss at least 1 start. So he hit the IL. I don't have a lot here besides he's likely a drop as well.
Yeah. And like, man, joining the IL list of potential other pitchers, DJ Hurst, Josiah Gray, Cade Cavalli, Soroka. Nationals rotation quickly turning into a dumpster fire. The good Lord pitched tonight, yeah. Brad Lord.
And actually, it was not a holy occasion.
It was not a holy occasion. He prayed and it did not. His prayers were not answered against it was the Dodgers today, right? So
yes, I mean, the Dodgers.
The Dodgers aren't going to answer your prayers, but yeah, Lord is probably not a pickup for me. Outside, and after that, it's Jake Irvin. Mitchell Parker's looked okay, but then Trevor Williams, like that's a pretty brutal rotation right now in the nation's capital.
Since we're talking news, I'll take this question right here from Sean. Any worries about Zach Eflin's right shoulder fatigue? I have notes for tonight's show, and I'll check again before I record, but they did an MRI on Tuesday on Eflin's shoulder. No word on the results of said MRI just yet. We'll find out probably Wednesday. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, which doesn't give me the warm and fuzzy. I know Eflin pitched well, but I think he only had one strikeout in like 6 innings, something like that. So yeah, whenever I hear shoulder MRI, like the team can say what they want. I'm kind of worried about Zach Eflin.
Yep, 1K over 6 innings, 1 earned run. He has 8 Ks over 18 innings this season. He has 1, 5, and 2 in his 3 starts.
Not great. Not
warming. Jack Leiter to the IL with a blister injury. He threw a 35-pitch bullpen on Tuesday. Sounds like things are heading in the right direction for Mr. Jack Leiter. Continue to hold wherever you have him.
Yep, agreed.
A couple good pieces of news here. Zach Veen got called up. First career hit was a bunt on Tuesday. Got that going for him. And Chase Dollander got called up, made the start on Sunday for the Rockies.
So we'll get another Dollander start before Fab.
Padres in San Diego this weekend.
Okay. Which maybe
that's a good
at first I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I'm like, oh, they might not have a team by this weekend.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know. If Dollander, this is just BS question, but if Dollander looks good next start, what are you willing to go Fab wise on him? I guess we'll talk about it more on Thursday, but we won't.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Sokolsky and Chris Clegg got me on him late in the DC season because they were talking some really good stuff about him. I just hate rookie pitchers, but I'd go like around 80 to 90. Most people are probably going to go in the 200s, so I won't have him. That's what I'm expecting. If he pitches
like 50
well,
or 60.
If he pitches well against San Diego, he's going probably over $200.
I can't do it for a Coors pitcher. I don't care if it's
exactly
the Lord himself, not Brad Lord or whatever Brad. Lord on Nationals. Feeling holy tonight. Yeah, it is Brad. Yes. Brad Lord.
Should be good Lord. All right. Again, we didn't hit on all the news because we're still waiting for information on the Langfords, the Tatises, the Pablos, the Cronenworths. There's probably 3 more that's taken place since we started. It's been one of those deals to start the season here. So we'll keep you updated in the Patreon on Breakfast with Bubba and all the good stuff there, and talk about it again probably on Thursday night.
Just real quick, does this feel worse than like previous years for you? You were a grizzled fantasy veteran. This feels bad, but it does. I don't know. I don't know if it's par for the course or if this has been like a wave of actually more so like hitter injuries for me than anything else.
It's more hitter, more big name players, it feels like, but we always panic at the beginning of the year. And if you watch some of these smarter people that do the injury analysis, it's like almost the same numbers every year. And it starts to drop off as guys get more in shape. It sounds bad. You would expect them to come into shape, but it happens every year. You get all the obliques, you get all the shoulders and all that fun stuff. And eventually it irons out, and we're in about a month or so, we'll have our dudes barring some crazy injuries more often than not as the rest of the season goes on. So you just have to like weather this storm. And that's where the patience comes into play, not just in poor productions to start the year, but like, can you hang on to guys that like, you got to just know we still have 5.5 months of baseball to go. So you got to show some patience there.
Yep. So, well said.
Yeah, it sounds bad, but it's probably not. It's in reality. Yep. All right. Tuesday night, Bloomboard time, my friend. I'm looking forward to this. Like you said, we talked before the show. It's a little different than we're used to here. So why don't you let the wonderful viewers on YouTube and listeners all throughout the listening podcast platforms know what we are talking about.
All right. So yeah, a little bit of a change of pace. Normally with like pretty much every Bloomboard, it's players, which is still the bread and butter of what we want to talk about. But it's still, I know every podcast you all listen to, like we all want to react to things because we have to talk about what's going on. But it's like I told you before the show, Bubba, like I feel like the hardest time of year to like be putting out analysis and advice and recommendations and stuff, because all I want to say is just be patient and give it a couple more weeks. And I know probably no one wants to hear that, but I think that is the course of action, especially on a specific player level. So what we're doing tonight is we're looking at an entire team level, just to kind of look at, and again, that the small sample early season caveats still apply, but I just think with all the offseason player movement, everything that's kind of gone on, I think it is useful to just kind of reset, recalibrate to which teams are doing what. And we have an almost 2-week sample here, all the numbers and things that we're showing on the board and talking about this evening are through Monday's game, so they don't include Tuesday. But it's basically, I just wanted to take a look at every team, how they look in terms of offense with WRC plus, and that is basically a catch-all offensive stat on Fangraphs for offensive production. League average is 100. It's simple. Everyone can understand it. Anything below 100 is bad. Everything above 100 is good. So that's why we're using WRC plus, even though it is a mouthful. We're looking at the WRC plus for every team, and then I've broken it out by lefty and righty. Since we are still in small sample mode, I have also put the number of plate appearances for that team by lefty and righty, because there are some teams, I'm looking at you, Houston Astros, who have a 5 WRC plus against lefties. That's through 10 plate appearances. So they somehow have like not even faced a lefty starter so far this season. So that's what we're looking at with the board. Of course, it's all color coded. Green is good. Red is bad. Added and I think this is actionable early in the season, added a stolen base attempt rate, SBA percent. That is basically how aggressive each team is on the base pass. If they have a runner on first base, how often are they running to second base? League average is, I want to say, like the mid-teens. There are some teams that are in the 20s, which I think is super actionable. So that's what we're looking at tonight. Offensive production overall versus lefties versus righties, and then stolen base attempt rate. I will let you, my friend, steer the ship. If you want to talk about every team or just the highlights, we got time. So however you want to do it.
First, I want to hit on this one. Kevin Hastings says it's a great board, especially looking for streamers as we get deeper into the season. I believe you have plans for this, Ryan. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. It's not. It's still in the lab. It's in progress. But I am putting the final touches on, I guess, what I'm calling live bloom boards for the Patreon, where if you're a subscriber, you get the weekly planner that we've been talking about. We do all of our Thursday Fab shows, but I'm gonna have a live bloom boards tab with year-to-date hitter-pitcher, last 30 days hitter-pitcher, and also a teams tab, which is basically like this. It's going to update every single day, so you can just save that Google Sheet as a bookmark in your browser, on your phone or whatever, and pull it up every day, and we will basically have what we're looking at tonight available to you all season long, and I'll add a last 30-day filter on that too. Once we get deeper into the season, you'll be able to see kind of who's been hot or not lately too. So that is one of the many reasons, right, to support the show. Yep. And if you can, sign up for the Patreon.
Yeah, I was going to throw a shameless plug out there that the weekly matchups thing that we use on Thursday nights, I legit had my iPad out with it on and setting lineups on my phone on Friday because I was at work, and just having the matchups helped me dictate, especially like DCs. It was a very, very helpful tool to put together there on the fly.
It was funny on Monday in the Discord, someone was like, damn, you updated this in the middle of the day for us on Monday? And I'm like, well, I use it for my own team, so I might as well selfishly update the thing and do it while I'm setting my own lineup. So
comes in handy. Very, very handy. All right. We'll kind of go team by team. Some teams won't be as important as others, but we'll just start. It's alphabetical order. We'll start with the Arizona Diamondbacks, the team that scored the most runs in baseball last season, and they are starting off quite well once again this year. As you show a team WRC plus of 114. Now they might have, you got Corbin Carroll. Maybe we'll see how he keeps going here. But versus lefties, league average almost. Versus righties, crushing baseballs. Not running that much. So that was even a question in the Discord. Why is Corbin Carroll not running? That is a very interesting observation. But then you think about it, I guess. Yes, Carroll's not running, but as a whole, it's like Alec Thomas, Jake McCarthy, platoon. Who else really runs on that team?
Right. That is, and that's smart. That's one of the things that kind of take away from this at a team level. It's like you have to look at the team too. Like, is the team not running because they don't want to run or because they can't? But it is. I did not realize Corbin Carroll does not have a steal so far through 50 plate appearances, unless he got one tonight. Josh Naylor actually has the most with 3, which is which is
Crazy.
interesting. But no, I'm not worried about Corbin Carroll's stolen bases. He will. They will come, and I think this just confirms you want to avoid. I wouldn't say at all costs, because there's some starting pitchers you start no matter what. Even against Arizona. But I think any kind of fringe, mid-rotation, back-end rotation for sure, pitcher going up against Arizona right now, even without Ketel Marte, I think you probably have better options elsewhere.
Yep. This is a team we talked before the show. There's like 4 teams I pretty much are and stacking on the daily, and the Diamondbacks are one of those 4 teams. And looking at this, definitely shows why against right-handed pitching. Something to take advantage of. And if you really want to see full tilt, go search Corbin Carroll's name on Twitter and just look at the latest tweets. Every D-backs fan wants to know why he's not running, so have fun with that one.
Well,
the
Michael in the chat
Athletics.
says Carroll's slugging 700, so he hasn't been on first base very much, which is
That's a good thing.
Which is true.
Essentially. Yes. Yep. The Athletics, this is a ballpark configured aid, I believe, but we'll see. They've had a lot of home games, as you mentioned before the show. 110 WRC plus, 201 versus lefties in a small sample. League average versus righties. That'll change after tonight's beatdown of Dylan Cease. So this team is scoring runs in bunches thanks to that bandbox of a ballpark they're playing in Sacramento. Any takeaways here besides they don't run at all?
They have not run at all, which, again, may not be bad news for Lawrence Butler yet. He's just off to a terrible start in general. But, again, the A's don't really have many guys that just run in general. So I'm not looking too much at that number. I think the biggest takeaway has to be the home park. Have the A's played all their games at home? It feels like it.
No, they've had some road games. I'd have to go. Okay. They started the season in Seattle. I know that much.
Oh yeah, that's right. I should know that. But yeah, that I mean, you've been to that park. You know that park. It does seem quite friendly to hitters so far this year, and it's not 100 degrees yet. So
no, it's mid 80s right now, folks. Mid 80s on a nice chilled evening in April. Wait till June, July, August come into play. Guys, I've lived in this place for most of my life until I got through college. So ball fly very far. And I've been saying that all off season. And yeah, it's happening early and often at this place. So good luck if you have pitchers. That's a question we have later, but good luck is the best I can say. Atlanta Braves once again struggle bus. 60-16 WRC plus, 45 versus lefties, 73 versus righties. It's been bad across the board. As a team, like Olsen had a couple games, Riley had a couple games, but as a whole, it's been pretty darn brutal for the Atlanta Braves right now. And we keep saying it's going to change because they are so talented, but man, they're not giving us a lot of optimism right now.
Yeah. But I do think it is going to, I mean, I think this is the ultimate, like, just wait it out. I think they'll be fine, but it's surprising to say the least to see the Braves also, like, not to jump ahead, but like a few other offenses we thought would be really good entering the season. Texas, they matched the Braves with a 66 WRC plus, tied for the worst in baseball. So Texas and the Braves are down there. But I mean, and also, so like, I mean, I don't know, are you streaming against the Braves? Like, you have to ask yourself that. I don't think I am.
Zach Wheeler got torched today, so no. Like, I'm still not attacking it.
Yeah, I don't. I think the Braves will be just fine, but it is it's surprising through 10 days.
All right, I'm going to give some breaking news, and then we'll come back to the board here.
Oh no, who got hurt?
No, Zach Eflin. The results are back. He's going to be shut down for a week with a low-grade lat strain and be reevaluated. So, yeah, whenever you hear shut down, not just like, hey, he's going to like throw a bullpen later this week type stuff. I hate this. So, just be prepared. That's the latest news. They're going to reevaluate him in a week.
Well, that makes it tough too, because you got to hold for that.
You got to hold. You got to hold.
See what happens for the week, but. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's your
Good.
answer. Lovely.
Sweet.
You're welcome. Back to our regularly scheduled program. The Baltimore Orioles, speaking of Zach Eflin, has a WRC plus of 113. They're crushing right-handed pitching, doing average versus lefties. They're heating up. Henderson's back. He's jumping on the ball right out the gate. Holiday's having a great start to his sophomore season. This team terrifies me.
Yeah, a lot of this Baltimore production is without Gunnar Henderson, who is now back and hitting leadoff and looking quite good. So yes, the Orioles scared the hell out of me as a opponent having a pitcher go against them.
Red Sox, a 119 WRC plus, but 137 versus lefties. It's only 90 plate appearances, but that checks out to me. If you look at their lineup, that is something that I would have been kind of concerned about going into the season, and it's already coming into play quite early.
Agreed. Alex Bregman's looking very good. Rafael Devers has turned things around quickly after a very pathetic start. The Red Sox, to me, especially in Fenway right now, like that is very scary to go up against. They look pretty damn good right now and running at a decent clip as well. Who are their stolen base guys? Duran's got 3. Rafael has got 2. Story's got 2. Couple other guys got a bag. Alex Bregman has a bag. So that's and they're hitting, and they are dangerous, I think, right now.
And you got to remember, some of these places are really cold right now too. To hit this well in the cold,
it's true.
Says a lot. Speaking of cold, Chicago Cubs. The Cubs have been playing in almost
this is your squad.
Couple games. This is my boys. These are my boys. WRC plus a 124. That's good for like 4th in baseball to start the season, which I will take. They're mashing everybody is the best way I'll say it, and they're stealing a ton. Nico Horner has 6 steals. I think he might have got another 7th on Tuesday, if I might be wrong. He's running wild. Dansby, I was looking him up before the show, is hitting 226, but he has like 4 homers and 2 steals. Tucker's just an absolute beast among little boys. This is a great team, great ball club.
Yeah, and Dansby had a night Tuesday night,
yes,
so all is well. They destroyed Patrick Corbin, which it happens. I think, and this is also team catcher, the Cubs, the Carson Kelly, Miguel Amaya.
It's like a 50-50 pretty much.
It's been a hell of a combo. Really, the only one not hitting is like Matt Shaw. But this is a deep lineup too. Like there's no Kyle Tucker's a superstar. Seiya could be, but it's a tough lineup to get through. Kind of 7 out of the 9, maybe 8 out of 9 if you use catcher relatively. So they're good. They were really good 2 years ago too, as an overall lineup. Not as great last year because, well, who knows? But I always think back to the Sarah Sanchez show that you had on Bench with Bubba, the Cubs preview, and she said just how bad that park played, Wrigley played last year. This looks like the 2023 Cubs again, which is dangerous.
Very, very dangerous and fun because our happy Wrigleyville is always a good time.
Mm-hmm.
A couple bad teams. Chicago White Sox, no surprise here. I guess how bad they are versus lefties, again, is a small sample, but we've always talked about streaming against the White Sox, and a team 75 WRC plus fully supports that claim.
Yep, not going to spend much time on the White Sox. We know they're bad. We know we should stream against them. And again, only 39 plate appearances against lefties, but it has been a horrible 39 plate appearances for the White Sox. So stream away. This is the team who we thought they were.
Yep. And then the Reds, you hit on it earlier. They have been massively disappointing, horrific versus left-handed pitching. 100 plate appearances, 29 WRC plus is beyond bad. 79 WRC plus versus righties is still not great, Bob. But that struggles versus lefties. Like that's where Austin Hayes would come in handy with this team. But as a whole, like it's a bad ball club right now.
It is, and I think at least again for me, this is more of a mindset change. I see Cincinnati and I get nervous. I think at least right now, the way Cincinnati's hitting, the way that they have injuries with no Matt McLain, especially if you're throwing lefties, like I'm actually seeking out lefties starting against the Cincinnati Reds. So we'll have a little bit more on the Fab show on Thursday. But they do not look good. And that's a lineup where I look at it, I'm like, oh, they scare me. And now they should not.
Just for fun, because this won't be a part of the Fab show. The Reds at home on Thursday face Bailey Falter, and on Friday face Andrew Heaney. Thoughts?
Oh, that's right. I started Heaney in a couple spots.
Shut down the Yanks.
I mean, those are the guys I'm talking about, though. Those are the lefties.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good call out. Like I would roll with it the way the Reds are hitting right now, or not hitting right now. That's a good example.
Yeah, very, very interesting stuff there. Cleveland Guardians, they're league average. They're crushing lefties, a little below average versus righties. This is kind of how they always have been, at least lately, it feels like. They're just kind of pesky enough to upset you, or they'll just completely shut down. So they make for a tough stream against, in theory, is where I'm going with this, because you don't know what you're going to get with this team. As a whole, though, when you just look at their lineup, it's a very top-heavy lineup, and then it gets really, really bad.
Yeah.
Especially with Oscar Gonzalez not there anymore. Good God. So yeah, it's what would you do with the Guardians? Because it's like I said, it's kind of rough.
Yeah, I don't really have a good read. I don't know, like last year the Guardians, they just took so many pitches per plate appearance. It was just hard to get through 3 times. I have not watched them that much so far this year, so I don't know if that's been the case, but you're right. Very top heavy, like with Kyle Manzardo off to a good start. Like that's a good top 4, maybe top 5, but the back half of that Guardians lineup is pretty bad. So I don't know. They're just kind of average to me.
Yep, fair enough. All right, Colorado Rockies, WRC plus 74. They're hitting okay versus lefties, horrific versus righties. Freddie Peralta took care of business in Coors on Tuesday. It's just a bad lineup, like a really, really bad lineup, period. Like worse than the Reds, bad.
Yeah, I mean, so Tout Wars DFS or Tout Daily kicked off tonight. And I rolled with Freddie Peralta at Coors. It's just, for me, it's another year of, you have in your head you want to avoid Coors, but especially in the first couple months, this lineup's so bad it doesn't matter where they hit. You are streaming against the Rockies, even though they've been above average against lefties. I don't know. That's they're the Rockies still.
And as Ryan was insinuating there, it's so cold and the weather sucks that Coors is basically neglected. Like it's probably worse because it's so cavernous when the weather's like this for hitting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look at this.
These
better
guys,
WRC
yes.
plus than the Cubs. The Detroit Tigers, 126. They have an 87 WRC plus versus lefties in a decent sample. A 150 Kerry Bonds aided WRC plus versus right-handed pitching. They faced Cookie Carrasco, which, okay, probably shouldn't even finish that sentence, but they played home run derby with Cookie on Tuesday, and they've obviously been doing that to start the season. This team is going to keep things real interesting in the AL Central this year.
So I wish I would have made this board over the weekend before Fab, because guess who picked up Carlos Carrasco in the Listener League?
Oh, no.
This guy.
No.
But I saw at Detroit, and I'm like, okay, let's roll with it. Not knowing how good Detroit has been. Again, this 150 WRC plus against righties, that's before the before the eating of the cookie.
Run. Yeah, before the Dirk Dingler homer, before the Kerry Bonds, Torkelson, you name it.
Yeah. So certainly righties against the Tigers right now is you need to take a look at, and it's the ultimate example. Do as I say, not as I do for me. Why did I pick up Carlos Carrasco to start against Detroit? I think he gets one more. No, does he get another? Yeah, he gets another start this week.
Better hope so. There's no justification for this. So you better let me check real quick. I have it up. Let's see.
Does he?
No, he does not.
He does not. So
no, and it's his last start because Clark Schmidt comes back next week. Looks like Cookie's not even scheduled to pitch. So yeah.
So Bubba, is Carlos Carrasco a drop?
Yes. 10-4 at his 7.36 ERA.
He's a never should have added.
Pretty much. Only in your 20-team AL only leagues. And this chart also goes to show you that Carlos Rodon, who gave up a couple runs early because of his control, but then struck out a bunch of Tigers on Monday, kind of goes to show you the lefties can have success against him. What I'm curious, just looking at this chart, do you trust like a Max Fried on Wednesday against the Tigers? And I'm not 100% on board with that. You have to. I think you have to.
You do it, but it's not. It's not as slam dunky. Yeah, I would. I mean, yeah, I would do it. It's not a slam dunk, but
yeah,
you roll with it. The Tigers are below average against lefties.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll see how that one goes. Fried, he's been underwhelming so far. Houston Astros, talk about underwhelming. So you have the Braves at 66 WRC plus, and you have the Astros at a 70 WRC plus. You mentioned the small samples of the lefties. We'll ignore that. It strictly played righties this season, which is very interesting to see. 71 WRC plus versus righties. That is not good, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help when their outfield's depleted. Most of their team just is not playing well.
Not playing well, and just not a deep lineup either. Because, like, yes, you could say Yordong has not played well so far. Isaac Paredes has not played so well so far. Christian Walker's been average, but like you also have spots of Brendan Rodgers, Cam Smith, who's done nothing. Jake Myers. Like there are some absolute dead spots in the Astros order that I don't think is going to become alive at any point. So I think the Astros certainly will get better once Jordan, Walker, etc. heat up. But this is definitely a lineup with some holes. But it is interesting to see the Astros be this bad this early.
Yeah, they struggled last year early on too. I remember that very
Yeah.
clearly. People wanted to drop like Yiner and a bunch of guys, and
Yep.
ended up being just okay, just fine in the end.
Which I think is what will happen this year. They'll be okay, but not great.
With you as well. Kansas City Royals, they're doing very well versus lefties in a small sample, 135 WRC plus, but struggling mightily versus righties. And that kind of checks out just watching their box scores day to day and watching them barely score 2 runs against the Twins on Tuesday to not give Cole Reagans a win, who was amazing in 6 innings, but why would I care? Yeah, it's a team that's I think it's better as the year goes on, but it's top heavy as well.
Top heavy. I want to hone in on this is one where team level stolen base attempt rate can be misleading. So the Royals look good with a green 16%, but nobody outside of Bobby Witt in their starting lineup has more than 1 steal this season. Bobby Witt has 3. The knockoff brand mascot, Maikel Garcia, has 1. Nobody else has a steal. Tyler Tolbert has more steals, 4, than plate appearances this year, 3. And so that is why the team-wide stolen base attempt rate for the Royals is so high. But nobody is running outside of Bobby Witt and Tyler Tolbert.
Tyler Tolbert. There's your bar trivia for the week, folks. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, average 97 WRC plus, struggling versus lefties, above average slightly versus right-handed pitching. More Kyron Paris will help this, obviously. Except, hey, he steals bases. That number will go up. There's a lot of things to like about that boy. But we kind of expected the Angels to be mediocre at best, right?
Yeah. And also addition by subtraction, hopefully, with Yohan Moncada being the other part of that Kyron Paris situation. So, yeah, this is about what we expected. The inevitable Mike Trout injury hits, that the inevitable, I hate to say it, mascot Luis Rengifo injury hits, and this team by the end of the season could be pretty bad. But when healthy, they are league average, which if you're an Angels fan, it's not what you want to hear.
Real quick, I have a question, dumb question. SBA means stolen base attempt percentage, correct?
Yeah, attempts. So
okay,
it doesn't look at how successful or not it's just it's stolen base attempts divided by how often you're on first.
Okay, because Kevin Hastings says they've been caught quite a few times in Kansas City. So
yeah, which maybe is why nobody else is running, because if you start getting caught, it doesn't make sense to run. So
touche. The Los Angeles Dodgers, shocker, they're good. 119 WRC plus. Struggling versus lefties, though. Something to monitor, actually. If you have like one of the fringe top, like say you have a Robbie Ray or one of those kind of fringe lefties, you're like, okay, I could probably go to battle against the Dodgers. Mitchell Parker was decent on Monday. Like you could work with that. They're destroying right-handed pitching, as one would expect in LA. Destroying it. 146 WRC plus.
Yeah, it's definitely like run any right-handed starter you have against the Dodgers. Really, probably any lefty too. But it is a good point. The Dodgers have struggled so far against lefties. So, like you said, if you had a mediocre lefty, at least consider it. But still,
say it's a 2-step. It's not like an automatic sit now. Like you can.
Yeah, exactly. It's not something you seek out, but it's not. May not be a death knell either. But who the hell knows? Like one hot day at this point, the Dodgers could be.
Well,
yeah, I don't know. They just scared the hell out of
me.
If
they got Max Muncy out of the way, they'd probably be okay. But
that might be the Max Muncy effect, just single-handedly.
Yeah, I'll keep pounding that drum that I started pounding last year on this one. Like he cannot play versus lefties. Get it over with. All right, to the right side of the board, the Miami Marlins, below average.
Below average, but like better than I thought. But they're still really terrible.
That says the bar was low, my friend.
Yeah, I mean they've cleared the low bar of like the Marlins are not the White Sox or the Reds yet. 83 WRC plus is still pretty bad, but they are not the worst. They're probably 20th. But you just look at the lineup card they throw out every day. It's just like, my God. Like maybe once Norby and Jesus come back, Miami's a little bit tougher. But man, this is Dream City right now.
Yeah, it's very, very, very bad. The Milwaukee Brewers, they've been scuffling mightily to start the season.
Yeah.
Coors helped a little bit on Tuesday, but an 86 team WRC plus, 64 WRC plus versus lefty. That's one to put in your back pocket when it comes to facing the Brewers. A little above average against righties with a 106 WRC plus. And it's pretty crazy because Churio's got a 10-game hitting streak. Terang's hit safely in every game, but as a whole, it has not been great.
Hasn't been great. The Brewers will be better. I think once our good King William Contreras and we started to see the rebound tonight in Coors. I think this lineup will be pretty good. I do think the lefty thing though against the Brewers is something to, like you said, kind of tuck away, because I don't see the lefty problem getting a whole lot better when you have Vinny Capra and Isaac Collins and Eric Haas as righties being thrown out there against left-handed pitching. So,
but I would also say you expect the King to get better.
Yes,
Reese can hit lefties if he ever gets, like, he hit them fine last year. Like, if they both start hitting, that'll help.
Yep, absolutely. Things will get better for the Brewers for sure.
Because we did get a King Dong on Tuesday night, so that's always a plus. The Minnesota Twins, WRC plus is 68, 14 WRC plus.
Negative.
Lefty. Oh, negative. Gosh, it's so dark red. I missed the negative sign.
Yeah, negative 14. I don't even know if that's possible, but whatever. That's what Fangraph says.
Some of my early writings of risers and fallers, there's been negatives involved there, yes. This team's dreadful. Like, really bad right now. Really bad.
Yeah, really bad. I put in the Discord tonight. Cole Reagans was a chalky DFS play tonight, but this is why I went Reagans against the Twins. The lefty thing is an issue. I would actively look out lefty starting pitchers against the Twins. I don't know if there are any fringe ones coming up that face the Twins, but you're a pro. You're like looking it up as I say that, but I don't see him getting much better. Like Jose Miranda will play. He's okay. Like maybe if Royce Lewis comes back, I haven't heard anything about Royce Lewis. Actually,
there's been no updates that I've seen. No,
that I bring him up. He's one of my 12-team stashes right now, and that's been frustrating. But I don't see the lefty problem in Minnesota getting better anytime soon.
Well, lucky for them, they face all righties until like next Friday versus Chris Sale. So
okay,
they got that going for them.
Oh.
All right, the New York Metropolitans, WRC plus of 88. They're basically average versus lefties, 86 versus righties. They seem to have been hitting the ball a little better the last couple of days. I'll give them that much. At home versus the Marlins, but again, that could be because of the Marlins. But a very slow start to the year for the Mets, a team I think we both think should be better than this.
Yeah, I'm not looking into this one too much. Like Francisco Lindor just hit his first home run today. He started extremely slow last year as well. We all know what Francisco Lindor did. Juan Soto only has one home run. Marky Vientos has been truly horrific. God, hitting 114 with a 244 on base. Pete Alonso's hitting well. I think it's a slow start for a bunch of guys on the same team, and I think the Mets lineup will be actually pretty good once we get to the summertime.
All right, the best lineup in baseball. They're green across the board, folks. The New York Yankees, 154 team WRC plus, 179 versus lefties. God pray if you start a lefty versus them. 136 versus righties, and a 15% stolen base attempts. Like, they are doing everything right now. It helps when you have, all rise on your team, but they're all hitting. Ben Rice is hitting second versus Tariq Skubal, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You love to see that one. I got nothing to add here. It is pretty stark when you have this all on one page and you see just how much better the Yankees have been than everyone else. And like you said, Bubba, they're running too. Just that's the cherry on top.
Phillies, they've been darn good also. 126 WRC plus, 103 versus righties, or lefties, sorry. 139 versus righties. So good stuff there. Not running as much as we'd like, but it could be because Shorebombs is just going crazy. Who knows?
Shorebombs is just going crazy. I want to pull up their steals. I was very worried about Trey Turner with the back injury, but he's stolen 3 bases. Yeah, stolen 3 bases since he came back. So that is obviously a good sign. JTR has a couple bags, Bryson Stott. So those are the only runners really that Philly has. So I wouldn't expect their team wide stolen base attempt rate to be super high. But yeah, this is kind of a buzzsaw lineup. I don't really want to have my pitchers face very often.
Yep, they took care of Chris Sale easily.
Yes, they
on
did.
Tuesday.
Yes, they did.
Pittsburgh Pirates, as expected, not great. 49 WRC plus versus lefties is that's one of the worst. One of the worst, not the worst, but one of the worst in baseball.
Definitely a team you want to stream against. Like this is brutal, and I don't see the Pirates getting much better. The interesting thing about the Pirates is how often they run.
Yeah.
But it's I want to say by far, but they have the highest stolen base attempt rate of any team in baseball. So I think the Pirates are just kind of saying like, yeah, we suck. We're just going to try and steal bases and manufacture runs like it's 1980 again, which again, I'm not saying that's a bad strategy. You have what you have, but I do think like, I mean, Tommy Pham has 3 steals. O'Neal Cruz, the Big O, he was called in the Discord today. I could dig that. I could dig the Big O. I mean, my man, he's got 7 already. My man might go off for 30 or 40 this year if the Pirates keep doing this quietly. Isaiah Kiner Falefa is hitting like 340, which we know isn't going to hold, but has 4 steals. Like, I think if you need steals with batting average, I think IKF is a good pickup there. So that's my biggest takeaway. Even though the lineup is awful, you want to stream against the Pirates, you can get some bags. Captain Jack, leadoff Captain Jack has 3 steals. Like they are, every single player is running. So
yeah, no, I picked up Brian Hayes this past week. He's got 2 steals, a homer, 238. He's hit well over like the last 3 or 4 games. Like they're all doing stuff. So I'm not opposed to it at all.
Yep.
All right, San Diego Padres, they are awesome, but for how much longer? That is the question. 122 WRC plus, destroying righties with a 131 clip so far this season.
Yeah, right. And will they do that without Merrill and Tatis and Cronenworth? How long are they out? We don't know, but at full health, the Padres are scary, but they will not be at full health for a little while.
This one surprised me a little bit. The Giants, basically league average 96 overall, 92 versus lefties, 97 versus righties, so slightly below league average for a team that's playing very well. Besides, before these 2 losses to the Reds, they were like 8-1 entering this series, playing some good baseball. Pitching's been one of the best in baseball. I saw that. We're not talking pitching, so yeah, I'm not surprised they're not world beaters out there, but they're pretty close to average, I guess.
They're running too.
Yes, they're a lot.
Which I think is really good for like Jung-Hoo Lee, who has 3 steals already. I think there was some concern, right, that this would be like I don't know, just an empty batting average type. And if Lee can steal 20 plus bases, which is the current trajectory, which I know is scary to do on April 8th, that could be good. Matt Chapman has a bag. We were wondering there. Elliot Ramos is running a little bit. Yaz has 2 bags. Your guy, Tyler Fitzgerald, is 3. He's not doing much else, but he is running.
The only 3 times he got on base.
Yeah. 241 OBP for Fitzy. So that's not great, but a good sign for your Giants hitters that the team is running. And it's not just like 1 or 2 guys that are running and no one else is. It's a lot of the lineup.
Yep. Very, very nice. Your boys, the Seattle Mariners, they're slightly better than the Giants. That's the best way I'll put it.
Even though they were swept, the Bubba in the Bloom Bowl this past weekend, the Giants swept the Mariners, which was great.
I would rather stream against the Mariners than the Giants. That's not even my bias. I just feel there's more in the Giants lineup that scares me.
Agreed. Yes.
St. Louis Cardinals. This one is the shocker, probably the entire board, honestly. 141 team WRC plus, 143 versus lefties, 140 versus righties. So it doesn't matter. They're hitting both of you. They're not running much, but man, they are. Even Brendan Donovan's showing some pop, which shutting me down. Nootbaar's doing his thing. Wilson Contreras is doing nothing, and this team still has numbers like this. It's a scary lineup right now.
It is, but I don't think it's sustainable, right? I mean, we'll see.
Let me pull them up because they're pesky is the way I look. Like they're not going to home run you to death. We got Newt, Donovan.
They will not do that. They will definitely not do that.
Yeah, you're right though. Like you look at Liz Walker. Like when's he getting lukewarm?
Yeah.
He's getting going, but yeah, it's not a team that you look at on paper that you should be scared of, but they're putting it together. That's for sure.
They are.
Tampa Bay Rays, 26 WRC plus versus lefties, 118 versus righties. They play in that bandbox. That helps a ton, especially for facing right-handed pitching. That should be a plus. But as a whole, like, man, Christopher Morel's about to be a drop for me in 12s. It's that bad already.
I know.
This team's not great, man. It's a tough watch. Now they're preying on the likes of Mangum style and Wisner out there. So it's interesting.
Had to get that one in. I like Mangum style's a definite upgrade over Magnum PI.
Yep. Yes.
The lefty righty thing for me is I think notable, right? With the Rays being this bad against lefties, and I think you can see why, because their righty bats are Yandy Diaz and Caminero, who haven't done much. I think they will both get better. But the aforementioned Morel, you got Danny Jansen, like Curtis Mead, Caballero. I think lefties against Tampa's going to be a decent play for you for much of the season, despite the home park. Now we'll see what the home park plays like in the summer, and I don't even know. I guess they have fewer games in the summer at home. But just looking at the roster and the results so far, things will get better, I think. But Tampa, if you have lefty starters, I think that's a way to go.
Yeah, Kikuchi is already one of my favorite starts tomorrow on Wednesday, and this kind of justifies that for me. Texas Rangers 66 WRC plus 90 versus lefties, 59 versus righties. Holy shnikes. This is a team, like I know I said and many others, this is like a softball lineup. They should score a ton of runs. They have not found their stride yet, is the best way I can put it.
They have not. And really the only one who's hitting for power at least is Wyatt Langford, and maybe injured. It's tough. They're at least some guys are running. Langford has 2 bags. Adolis Garcia has 2 early bags, which is nice to see for someone who I think you're going to get some power, but not much batting average. You might get more speed than you thought. Leonardo Taveras is 5 steals and with a 207 on base percentage. That's hard to do on April 8th. Called efficient, but I don't know how long you stay in the lineup with a 207. OBP. Like, where is Evan Carter? I think I saw in the Discord Evan Carter's not doing so hot in the minors.
No, he had a good game yesterday.
Okay.
Or earlier today. I can't remember, but overall, not great is the right way to say it. Hitting 105 with 1 steal coming in today's action.
Oh, yeah.
I know he had a couple hits, another steal on Tuesday. So,
but now it's
positive.
It's tough, dude. Actually, so this is Jesus. They've got. So 5 of their top 6 hitters are hitting below 200. Marcus Semion's hitting 125.
He looks bad.
Corey Seager's hitting 161. Huck Peterson's hitting 107. Adolis 176. Bubba Berger is hitting 105 with a 150 OBP. Like, holy hell.
Yeah, it's not going to cut it. And then they get to face Shota on Wednesday. And then this weekend, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, and Logan Gilbert.
It'll get better though, right? Like I mean, it can't get worse, but like I still think that Texas is
check out who they faced this week. Kikuchi, Soriano, Kakanowitz, that could help. Yamamoto, Sasaki, Glasnow. They have a tough run ahead of them.
They do. Although Sasaki hasn't been that great, Glasnow just got lit up in tough weather. I'll add, but I don't know.
Dr. Doom says Josh Young came back today, so maybe that'll help a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Can't get much worse.
Can't. I mean, yeah, for sure. But I just think I think it's a lot of like decent hitters all having like horrible starts to the season at the same time.
And a lot of the guys will click together, so you'll see these things happen.
Yeah.
Toronto Blue Jays, a 109 WRC plus, 166 versus lefties, 94 versus righties. Your boy Bo is having a great start to the season. I'm just going to give you the kudos on that one out the gate. Nice. But this lineup is being quite productive versus lefties. And like on paper, I'd be like, okay, so they got Vlad, they got Bo, Santander, like then what else? But Springer, dude, I looked at him. He's hitting almost 440 with a couple bombs and a couple steals already this season. Like,
yeah,
this team's balling out right now.
I'm looking at that too. I actually have Springer on a few squads. I didn't know he was. Good God, he's hit 455. I think it is. Yeah, second homer tonight. You got the mighty Andres Jimenez.
Dude, he's cooled down this last week, but that start to the season was lights out.
So how's this for a stat? Andres Jimenez and George Springer are the only Toronto Blue Jays who have hit home runs this year.
Wow.
Tyler Heineman has hit a home run, a backup catcher. Bo, Vlad, Santander all have 0 home runs.
Wow, that's a stat for you for a team with a team WRC plus of 109 and nothing.
Right, like how are they? Right, that's interesting. But I don't know. They'll be fine. And kudos to the Blue Jays, by the way, for locking up Vladito. That's always good to see him not go to the Dodgers or something.
It's very hard for us to see players stick with their original teams these days, so that is a nice one to see.
Cool. Yep.
And the last one we have here, the Washington Nationals, an average WRC plus of 101, 86 versus lefties, 108 versus righties, and that kind of checks out to what we've always said about the Nats. They're going to be better versus righties because they actually let Luis Garcia Jr. play. That helps in the process, and James Wood is heating up all of a sudden. So with that 70% ground ball rate and 34% strikeout rate, by the way, but he's heating up.
He's heating up. I think double dong this evening.
Yes. Tuesday tonight he double donged. Yes, and then last night a combo meal. So yeah, he's getting going.
Dylan Cruz hopefully turns things around. But yeah, another steal tonight, right? Mm-hmm. And that's probably the biggest takeaway. The Nationals, I mean, we've said all kind of draft season that they like to run, and that is the case yet again. So I think your Nationals that do run are going to be off and running. You hope the other part of the production gets a little bit better.
All right. Overall takeaways here. It's Yankees just crushing baseballs. Cubbies, Tigers doing their things with the Phillies. And the Cardinals are the second best offense in baseball right now, which is pretty surprising. Any other major takeaways here?
Some of it's just interesting, like this early in the season, which ones stick, which ones don't. Kind of take a combination of what they've shown so far, but also like what's on the roster, who's hurt, who's just slumping, sort of a deal. But I think Twins against lefties, you can absolutely go. Twins and Reds against lefties, you want to go for. We know the White Sox are going to be bad. We know the Marlins are bad. There's some other teams that are bad that we think are going to turn around, like the Astros, the Brewers, that sort of thing. So we don't want to take this all at face value, but some ones that I think you can. So this, at least for me, was a somewhat valuable exercise. And then last but not least, I think you definitely can look at the stolen base attempt rate numbers and kind of use that to your advantage. There's some kind of thought out there. A few folks in the Discord have asked, and maybe I'll do it, but like stolen base effectiveness against some of these teams could be something to add on. I think you were saying before the show, Houston, right? Yainer Diaz, or the pitchers have been terrible.
Yeah, it's just Houston as a team has allowed 16 stolen bases on 17 attempts by the end of Tuesday night's game.
It's like the old Noah Syndergaard on steroids.
Yes, definitely something to target if you're streaming for statistics, especially as the season goes along. Something to definitely monitor. Some news that came in while we were recording: Tyler Soderstrom left the game with a calf tightness situation.
Oh God, what?
Like he hurt his leg early in the game jumping for a ball. Then he played through it. He ran that's the first inning. He ran the bases. I thought he was fine, but then Scott Burks in the chat has it here. I saw it in the Discord. Soderstrom left the game with It must have been after they were up 10-4, and he just didn't play the last innings, my guess. So yeah, got that going for us too. Maybe Nick Kurtz, we get to see him sooner than later, who could hit 1,000 home runs in that stadium. So yeah. All right, that'll pretty much do it. Oh, we had one listener question. Sorry, I got one Twitter question, but we've kind of discussed this through and through, but I will throw it out here. Steve Brunn says, is Sacramento going to be full fade for starting pitching? It's worse than Coors, folks.
I got nothing to add. You're the Sacramento expert. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be even worse in the summertime.
Yeah, it's worse than Coors. So, I would have thought Cease would have been fine. That did not turn out well. You're going to start some of your aces. It's just the way it's going to be. But if it's not a lockdown dude, it's like you're not throwing Cookie Carrasco in Sacramento. That's not going to happen.
All roads lead back to my Cookie Carrasco ad.
I just had to throw that back one more time. But yeah, it's a rough place. Just keep stacking bats, and hopefully DK eventually starts pricing guys like $7,000 like they do for Coors in the summertime, because otherwise it's going to be a bloodbath in the DFS streets.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, all right. Any other final thoughts, my friend, before we head out of here? Injuries galore. Fun Bloom board. We got Fab on Thursday night. I've had preview, I should say, on Thursday night. Anything else?
Off non-baseball, but happy Masters Week to you.
Heck yeah, my friend. But when we record it on Thursday, we'll have round 1 in the books, which will be fun to chat about as well.
Very much looking forward to that. Hopefully work is calm Thursday, Friday. Get to hang there. But yeah, just hang tight. These injuries are brutal. Just know what's happening to everybody. Some more so than others in terms of teams, but everyone's going through it. But man, yeah, it definitely seems. I mean, during the show, we've had 2 more, breaking news. Guys getting hurt. So I don't know. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Good to see a couple not new names, but Andy Splinter back in tonight. Uncle Ted behaved himself tonight. Things are turning around. Things are turning around in the chat.
Make sure this mic was on. But the one thing I will say to wrap up, I wrapped up Bench with Bubba with it as well, is because we get it in the Discord, we get it on Twitter. I see other people, not just us. It's everywhere. Don't panic with your picks that you made so far. Like, if they're healthy, it's been like 10 games, 2 weeks. Just chill for a little bit. Because going over Fab, it was like, yeah, there's some shiny new toys, but I'm not dropping Junior Caminero or something. That's just, we're not making those plays. So just try to show some patience unless you see an injury or something else that's more concerning.
Yeah. So I think I was going to do tonight, but it's for this show, but it's, I think, still a little bit too early. But maybe for next week's Bloomboard show, we'll do like a slow starters thing. And whether we drop, and even for that show, I'm filtering out anybody in the top 100 on 20 ADP. None of those guys are drops. Just be patient, unless obviously if they're hurt for months. But yeah, patience. It's a long season.
Yes, indeed. And with that, we'll keep you up to date and rolling through the entire season. So keep checking in with us. If you want to support the Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. The podcast is on Twitter at Bubba Bloom Pod. Ryan is on Twitter at RyanBHQ. I am at BD Entric. And thanks for listening, everybody. This is Bubba and the Bloom, episode 232. Catch you all next time.